Right now, maybe just open that very complicated project again. Oh, I saved over it. Okay, let's create it again. So what I did earlier is I do this, and then I say affect parent blocks on this manipulator, and then I drag the entire thing into a macro, and put another clone of it here. So these macro blocks inside, because affect parent blocks is checked, they will actually affect stuff outside of the macro. You see that? There's no macros on this level, but there's there's no manipulators on this level, but there's manipulators inside these macros. I don't know why these are rebaking. That's weird. Why are those rebaking? Let me think. That shouldn't be happening. If these macro blocks had effects inside them, and then an input track was set up to say like route the audio to the first track of the macro, and then there was effect blocks on that track, then it would make sense for the macro blocks to rebake when I was moving stuff above. But in the current situation, it doesn't make sense. This was fixed. I might not fix that for this release because it's not like a show-stopping bug. It's just kind of annoying. And nobody uses macros anyway. So let's put it on the back burner again. Oh, the back burner is getting too long though. And this is kind of like a high priority back burner. I guess I'll add it to the top of the list and add less important things on the bottom. How to describe that? Macros are rebaking in situations where they shouldn't. E.g. moving a sample above it. Internal syncs. Right, what was I looking at? Oh yeah, I wanted to profile something. So this is already a complicated situation I've set up here. Let's make it even more complicated by doing this, and this, and then this, and then this. So I've got macros inside macros inside macros. And all the way on the inside we've got these manipulators. When I move this manipulator, because the macros have been cloned, that means I've got internal clones of this manipulator as well. So every time I change this manipulator block, I'm changing like, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's like 16 manipulators that I'm changing every time I change this. I think it's something like that. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was expecting. So it's still really laggy, even though I profiled this before, and I found the bottleneck at the time was the actual envelope generation code, where I have like this pitch envelope here, and I'm adding this pitch envelope to it, so it generates a new envelope from these two envelopes. And that was where the bottleneck was, and so I moved that into another thread basically. So I'm sure it's like way better than it was before, but it's still lagging, possibly for other reasons. Also, you should note that this is debug mode, so it's going to lag more than it will in release. But it's still a nice indicator of where lagging is happening. So that's the reason that I saved this project before, is because I wanted to profile it. So let's reload it and just make sure it still loads. Yeah, good. Okay. So I don't do this very often, but let's try to profile this. Let's close all this shit. And you're not supposed to profile in debug mode anyway, because it's really misleading, but it'll give me a basic idea of where I think the bottleneck is here. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to just have to move more and more stuff into background threads, or just throw away my entire code base and do some kind of data-oriented thing. But I really don't think the problem is like virtual function calls and polymorphism and all that shit, really. I don't think the problem is cache locality or anything like that right now, because I'm not changing a bunch of things that would that even makes sense to put contiguously in memory or anything like that. Well, I guess the fact that I'm changing all of these things at once means that it does make sense to put them contiguously in memory, but that makes things so, like, everywhere else in the system it would make no sense because it's like a bunch of disconnected things being manipulated. I don't know. It's just something that it would have to be a huge investigation to figure out what makes sense there. So anyway, we're doing stuff. So this is really laggy, so let's do a bunch of really laggy things. Okay, that looks good. So right here. Thread invoke. I can't remember how to use this profiling tool. Expand hot path. Oh. Oh. This stuff. Right, so this is where the expensive stuff is now. Yeah, okay, this is not the kind of thing that I'm going to be able to work on while recording myself, because it's just completely that I'm already bad at like talking while working. But this is just going to be like, I would have to just go like deep into the zone. So let's do something else. I'm just going to keep looking for bugs. I think we're getting pretty stable now. Probably pretty close to release. Usually, actually, before uploading things to Patreon, I send a build to a guy called Yank Scally on the Discord, because he's like really sort of enthusiastic about helping find bugs and things. And he usually like approaches things in a little bit different way to what I do, I suppose. So he finds some bugs that I might not necessarily find But if there's anyone else on the Discord who like wants to give the build a try before I put it onto Patreon, then just let me know. This is all working. That's weird. I wasn't expecting a bug here. So what I'm noticing here is I enable this or this and the button lights up. Then I press undo and the button does sort of stop lighting up, but only a little bit. And then I hover over it and then it's fine. So there's two things that make the button light up. There's one is when the value is on, and the other thing is when the cursor is hovering the button, it lights it up slightly more. So when I undo, 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 undo. So it's almost like, no, that's weird. I was going to say it seems like it thinks that the cursor is still hovering it, but when the cursor is hovering it, it looks like that. When the value is off and the cursor is hovering, it should look like that. But instead of when I undo, I get that weird situation. And then when I hover and leave, it goes back to where it should be. Okay, what a weird, I was not expecting to see a bug there. So that would be in, I think, icon button. No, it would be in toolbar button. Light. Am I correct about this? One sec. Look here. Toolbar button. Icon button, then we put the light in here. Alright, I already see the, I'm returning a void here. Don't do that. I already see the problem, I think. That should do it, I think. So I have this draw function which just sort of updates the visuals, and it looks like the sub node for the button was being updated, but the main node wasn't. So let's have a look. Undo, undo. There we go. Cool.